And here we are, and I'm working on my 25th anniversary release, which is going to be really interesting. It's called I'm Feeling Lucky.
I'm feeling lucky. I got a black hat on. Got a mojo woman.
I'm the egg breaker. I'm the deal maker. The heartbreaker, Popa Chubby. Here we are. We're in my lovely studio in the Hudson Valley, and welcome everybody. It's great that you could join us. This is really great time for me in my career. I'm celebrating 25 years as Popa Chubby. The first question would probably be, when was the first Popa Chubby gig? Well, it's kind of hard to pinpoint, but the first Popa Chubby gig was at the first St. Mark's Bar and Grill on St. Mark's and First Avenue. At the time I was working with various people as a sideman, and I really just wanted to play the blues, man. So we would play every Sunday at St. Mark's Bar and Grill, and we'd play for tips, man. And it was, it was cool. And from there, I started playing around New York City, and I wound up going up to a place called Manny's Car Wash, which was on the Upper East Side. And at the time, there was this old craggy guy up there. His name was Buddy Fox. Buddy Fox. He was sitting at the bar, and I went in and said, "Hey, I'd like to get a gig here." He said, "You can't get a gig at Manny's. Get out of here." He kind of threw me out. Then he came by to see me a couple times. I was playing around town, and I called him. He goes, "No, you're not ready yet." Finally, I got a gig at a club called Avalon on the Upper East Side, which is around the corner from Manny's, and we played every Wednesday night and packed the place. One day, I put my head up, and who's standing there but Buddy Fox, and he's looking around. The next day, my phone rings, and it's Buddy on the line, and Buddy says, "You want a gig at Manny's?" I said, "Yeah, Buddy." He said, "Well, then you got to stop playing Avalon." So I said, "Buddy, Avalon gives me a steady gig." He said, "I'll call you right back." He called me back in 20 minutes and said, "All right, you got the gig doing the jam at Manny's Car Wash." Manny, which I named Manny's World Famous Blues Jam. And we did it for 3.5 years, every Sunday. And doing that jam and working with Buddy, who after that became my mentor. And to this day, I love him dearly. He's a lot sweeter now at 85 than he was back then. Back then, you'd walk into Manny's. Before that, Buddy booked the Lone Star, and he'd be smoking a cigarette, drinking scotch, eating pizza, and watching the Knicks. That was it. So now he lives in Maui, and he's retired. He just had his 86th birthday, I think. And so he really gave me my start in this business, man. The next milestone for me, people ask, how did you break out nationally? Well, I started making independent records playing around New York, and then Buddy Fox, once again, submitted me for WKLON International Blues Challenge. It's what became the IBCs in Memphis. And I called him. I said, "Buddy, I don't want any part of this crap, man. I don't do contests. This is not what it is. And it's not about to me." He said, "Shut up, you're playing." So I played, and we won the local thing at Manny's Car Wash, and then we won the regional thing. And then I went out to California, and the finals were between me and a guy named Kevin Morris, who you probably know as Kev Mo. And I won first place. And that once I remember being on stage in front of this crowd and playing the slow blues and hitting a note, and people just got to their feet. And I was like, "Oh wow, man, I could probably do this." You got to believe your own hype. Anyway, I think if Kev was just playing acoustic at the time, if he had a band like he does now, he would have beat me, because he's an amazing artist. From there, I started getting offers for record deals, and I didn't want one. I had no desire to be signed to a label. And here's another question people ask me: how'd you really, what broke you out? What did it? Well, I had been in the music business long enough, and this is really good for you kids out there. If you sign to a record label, you are nothing but a sacrificial lamb. They will chew you up and spit you out. The minute you stop, they'll put their arms around you and tell you they love you when you're selling records. The minute you're not, they won't take your phone call. So I knew what I was looking at. But the guy who signed me at the time, a guy named Michael Kaplan, who worked for Sony Records, and signed Living Color and a bunch of other people, he said, "Listen, I can get Tom Dowd to produce your record." And I went, ding, 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 ding. Tom Dowd was like the jackpot for me, man. Tom Dowd, if you don't know who he is, was, in my esteem, probably one of the greatest record producers and engineers and people who one of the people who invented both the technology and the sound of modern music. He was 72 at the time, and we made a record called Booty and the Beast. And then we went on the road, and it got really interesting from that point on. That was 1993. So Popa Chubby started in 1990. So 2015 will be 25 years of Popa Chubby. 25 years of touring. I've done at least 150 shows a year for 25 years, man. And I'm still safe and sound and relatively intact. Everything's still working. I'm feeling better than ever. Getting back to my birth weight. That's my goal. I want to get back to my birth weight, 8 pounds, 3 ounces. When I'm there, I'll be ready to go. And so that brings us to this point right here where I'm working on a new record. And my whole career has been based on the fans and the people, because that's what it's all about. And I'm happy to say when I play any place in the world, I'll know at least a third of the audience by name. And I think that's an awesome thing, man, because it becomes a community, and it becomes not just about music or concept or hype or anything. It becomes about energy and people. And that's what it's about, man. I've been really lucky to see the inside of what this trip is all about. And what the inside of this trip is all about, it's about moving souls and healing people. That's what it's all about, man. It's not about how many records you sell or who's better than anybody else. Every guitar player in the world thinks they're better than every other guitar player. That's just the nature of the beast. Me, I'm just happy to be the best Popa Chubby out there. Well, here's a good question. I posted on Facebook that we were doing this interview and asked people to send in questions because I figured I would want to answer what you guys want to hear. Here's a big one. How do you put up with missing your family when you're on the road as much as you are? Never gets easy, man. And my buddy Walter Trout, who's been very ill recently, and I used to sit together and commiserate for hours, man. I mean, we would shed tears together. It's hard being away from the ones you love, man. Somebody asked me, I don't know, so you said, how do you guys do this? And I said, it's not something you choose to do. It's something you want to do. You're born with the desire, but once you start doing it, you realize it's what you have to do. It's just, it's more of a vocation than a job. It never gets easy, man. The good part is that when I'm home, I'm home. But you miss a lot. I missed my daughter's graduation from high school. I've missed holidays. I don't think I've seen a Thanksgiving in 15 years, because that's always a time when I'm on tour. I'm home for the holidays. I'm home for Christmas. New Year's Eve is my favorite holiday. I've been doing the same New Year's gig at the Turning Point for, this will be the 16th year. And it's just, it's great, man. So, the music carries you through. Here's another great question right here. Is there a guitar that you would like, but it's just too expensive? Well, that's an interesting question, because when I was a kid, my first guitar was called a Zimgar. Zimgar. Now, you never heard of that one. Made in Japan at the time, and the action was about this high. By the time you played it, you had lines in your fingers that wouldn't go away for a month. From there, I got a Gibson, Gibsun. It was a Gibson knockoff, and I thought I had a real Les Paul. So I went around showing everybody, I got a Les Paul, and they're like, no, you don't. I always wanted a 59 burst, 59 Sunburst Les Paul. But you know what? I'm a Strat guy at the end of the day. I got my 66 Strat. If you look around my house, there's more guitars than I know what to do with here. I'd trade them all in a second. Maybe I'll trade one for a mobile home. So that's a good question. Let's move on here. Oh, here's a good one. And this is a good topic in general. Has your diet, becoming slim and doing sports, influenced your performance on making music? Absolutely, man. I'm a big dude. I'm Popa Chubby. I've been overweight all my life, and as you get older, it gets harder, and then the health issues start. So about a year ago, not even a year, in December, I just came to a conclusion, and I've lost 100 pounds so far. And, I think it'll keep me around a lot longer. It sure makes getting around a bit easier. But it's given me a clarity in my head. I'm not clouded up as much as I was. And I think the new music I'm making really reflects that. I've been a producer for a lot of years too. And when you're a producer, your job is to bring the artist as close to who they are as the artist is capable of being at the time. Because for every artist, the closer you get to facing your own personal truth, the better your art is. But people can only handle so much of that. So this has enabled me to get closer to my own truth of what I am and the message I'm trying to convey to people. So it's been a great thing, man. And all I could say to anybody out there is that if I could do it, you can too. What's your most embarrassing moment on stage? This is great. When I was 18 years old, whoops, stay still. Stratocasters have a mind of their own. When I was 18, I was still living in Queens with my grandparents at the time, and I had a job working in the mailroom at the Village Voice, but I really wanted to be in a band. That's all I wanted to do. So I started answering ads in the Village Voice, and working on my stuff. So I went to this audition. Some guy was putting together some cover band, and he was like, "All right, get up there, and now show me what you can do." So I'm playing. He goes, "All right, now show me your moves." I was like, "What? Moves? I'm supposed to have moves?" So I figured, all right, I'll try some moves. I'd seen like Pete Townsend doing the windmill and stuff, and Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix playing with his teeth. So I jumped up and tried to do a split, and at the same time, I split my pants and went right through the stage at the same time. Everybody in the place clapped wildly for me, and I was like, I meant to do that. Anyway, I didn't get the gig, but it was a bit embarrassing. That was a good one. All right, let's see what else we got. You guys are great. You keep the questions coming. Who recorded your first CD? Well, I have to say this question is from my old friend Boxcar Joe Lang, who was the sound man at Manny's Car Wash. And Joe, in Little Sound Booth at Manny's, had a DAT machine, and we recorded every week at Manny's, and I wound up using 4 of those tracks on my first CD, which was called It's Chubby Time. It was later re-released on a French compilation called The Hungry Years, and also by Blind Pig here. So Joe definitely recorded some of that stuff, and the rest was recorded down. I had a studio in Manhattan in the West Beth building that a lot of people knew about. It was called Pink Crayon Studios, and we did a lot of recording there. So that was the first Popa Chubby CD. All right, here's one from a guy named John C. Page. May I play with you? No. No, I wish I could jam with everybody out there. I would, but I don't have the time, man. I just don't. But I do love the jam. That brings another good point. Is that jamming is important. I think it's great when other artists get on stage together and make music, and I think it should happen more. A lot of artists aren't open to that. They're too self-conscious. My friend Dana Fuchs and I, whenever we're together, we're on stage. Mike Zito too. Whenever I see Mike, we wind up on stage together, and it's a beautiful thing, man. That's where the magic happens, man, and the people love it. You're giving something to the fans that's precious to them, and you're making a precious moment. So, all you guitar players, all you guys out there, let's jam. Yeah. Here we go. This is a silly question. When is the world going to come together and announce that Papa is the leader of the new blues revolution? Probably never, but we'll keep trying. Okay, who was your greatest influence? That's a big question, man. It's been so many people through the years, but Freddie King was a huge influence on me. When I first heard Freddie King, and I know on a lot of other people too, Freddie was the link between blues and rock. Before that, when I heard Jimi Hendrix for the first time, it rocked my world. But the influences keep coming, man, and there's so much out there to draw from. And this is what I tell kids too, when they say, you know, how do I get started? What do I do? Draw from as many different sources as you can. Don't just learn one guy. Too many people lock onto one guy, they learn all this stuff, and then they think, that's it, I got it. But you want to become yourself. You want to do that, and the best way to do that is the sum of all your influences. I'm going to say something I say quite often. If nobody told you they love you today, Papa Chubby loves you.
I'm feeling lucky. I got a black hat on. Got a mojo woman. Wanna take me home.